So, this month, July 2015, is the 10-year anniversary of my high school graduation. I can't believe it's been a decade since I left high school. 10 long years have gone by and I can't help but feel oddly nostalgic and poignant at the same time. I never liked high school, starting all the way back in September 2000 during the freshman year. My last 3 years of elementary school between grade 5, 6, and 7 were in Surrey, BC at the same school. Between the ages 10 to 13, I shared classes and memories with the same people. Playing N64 and Super Nintendo with my friends after school, talking about pro wrestling all the time because WCW and WWF was red hot at the time, and trading Pokemon cards with everybody because the show was so damn popular back then. We all watched the show, played the games, and played with the cards, and we all loved it. I joined the basketball team in elementary school. I wasn't really that great, but I started to get really athletic at that time, started to get really good at sports, and so it was enjoyable. I mean, we traveled around and having games with the other teams from other schools, and I think we pretty much dominated. I think we came in second place in the district. We lost in the finals, I think by 1 point, so that was kind of sad, but we did pretty well, I think. I witnessed the girls around me start to develop, and by the end of grade 7, they all phoned my number like some kind of flirtatious coming-of-age teeny bopper thing. The girls I used to completely ignore during grade 5 and grade 6 were becoming teens who noticed boys. It's very interesting how women would start to phone you and start calling you, at least back in those days, because that was their way of getting your attention, I guess. This was during the late 90s, and after a very enjoyable 7th grade, leaving elementary school in June 2000 was bittersweet. My family was going through a tough time, and we moved to another city during the summer of 2000. I had no more friends or familiar acquaintances, so leaving Surrey and all its post-elementary expectations became lost. I thought for sure that I would go to high school in Surrey and stick with my buddies, but it wasn't meant to be. A former classmate from Surrey would contact me years later, telling me how my sudden disappearance from our elementary clique was quite noticeable by the time they went to high school. Dude, it's like you just disappeared. You weren't there anymore. Like, what the hell happened to you? You were just gone. By the time I arrived in high school, I had no friends. I didn't know anybody. It was a new city, a new district. I was a new kid in an alien environment. These high school kids didn't know me from a fucking hole in the wall, but I had to deal with it. From 2000 to 2005, I was stuck. Grade 8 was between 2000 to 2001, which would be freshman year. Grade 9 was 01, 02, grade 10, 02, 03, and so on and so forth until grade 12, which ended around mid-June 2005. We actually had a couple of weeks left in June. Otherwise, normally, in all the other grades, we would continue to the end of June. But I guess in the final year, grade 12, that was it. We basically left high school a couple of weeks early compared to the lower grades because we finished all the exams and that was it. There was nothing else to do, really. My main gripe with high school was how much of a waste of time it was. Almost 5 years of dawdling and stunted development for my brain. There was nothing about public high school that taught me how to live post-secondary. There were no subjects that I would still use today in my daily life. Math was boring. Social studies, English, history, those were all okay. They were quite easy, but they were just alright. The science classes like bio and chemistry were forgettable, and language courses such as French and Spanish were just cock teases for what you should really know linguistically in those type of languages. I mean, you really can't learn another language without speaking it every day among native or natural speakers. And 45 minutes in class, 35 times a week, is just not going to cut it. The only thing I remember from French is Je m'appelle insert name, and in Spanish, the only thing I remember were the two words discoteca and biblioteca. Athletically, high school never provided much either. We ran around the block a few times during PE, but nothing to lose weight over. PE in elementary school was fun because you played games like basketball and dodgeball. PE in high school is an empty void of a class that kids would use to waste time and skip school. Throughout the years, I never seemed to fit in with anybody. Grade 8, I hung out with the Asian kids. In grade 9, I hung out with the skaters. In grade 10, I hung out with the smokers. In grade 11, I hung out with the b-boys and pseudo-hip-hoppers. By grade 12, I had grown really depressed, jaded, wary of the cliques, and just kept to myself. My family went through turmoils and fights all the time, to the point that the police got involved. I became really stressed and started to lose my patience by 2004. By grade 12, I was just excited about finally leaving high school, like, thank God this is almost over. I couldn't wait to leave it all behind. In grade 12, I never went to the prom, and if I could, I would have skipped the graduation ceremonies itself as well. I attended plenty of school dances in my first couple of years in high school, but I always hated the music they played. It was never to my liking. I was more of a b-boy hip-hop head back in those days, and all they fucking bumped in those school dances was top 40 radio type of music. I never really had that, high school love or high school romance either, so skipping prom was fine for me because it was just another waste of time and added expense. I think mine was held in some kind of boat or ferry or something. Unfortunately, graduation attendance itself was mandatory in order to officially graduate, so I had to go. In 2008, my younger sister graduated and I was quite happy to skip that fucking thing. I didn't owe her anything. She graduated, good for her, but for God's sakes, it's not a big deal for me to miss my own sister's graduation. She has her own fucking life to deal with, and I really couldn't be bothered. Graduation took place in UBC in early July 2005. It was tedious, boring, and time-consuming like I expected. For the most part, that was the last time I saw any of those people. All the kids that pissed me off, all the burnouts that I smoked with, all the teachers that I've forgotten about, all the useless classes, all the girls that turned me down, all the kids that I balled with, all my former friends that I used to visit, all the girls that I ignored after a while. High school was a weird time of growing and development. You're young enough to swim in the ocean of youth, but you're too awkward and inexperienced to maneuver the waters. You gotta deal with bullshit hierarchies and play social politics in order to stand out or seem cool. In reality, it's just a bunch of insecure young cunts and idiot teenagers trying to fit in for 5 straight years. I fucking hated high school, and 10 years later, now, July 2015, I still kinda miss it. Or at least parts of it. Thanks for watching The Altered Nostalgic. For more videos, please check out youtube.com/TheReviewSpace.